order. Welcome to Brunch News. I'm Bubbles McCoy.
And I'm Cheryl Scarf. In today's stories, a new crime wave is sweeping the country in the form of woolen graffiti. Scientists have invented an invisibility cloak. We help them to find it. And the latest in weather around the country. But first, a story that will turn your world upside down.
If you think the world is getting more and more topsy-turvy, it turns out you're right. Builders here in New Zealand have built an upside-down house, and before you think they may have read the plans upside down, they did it on purpose. The wacky abode was built as a tourist attraction, as well as being a comment on the state of the world. The house is 23 feet tall and rests on its roof and has steel beams in the attic. Inside the house, there are beds screwed into the ceiling, upside-down wardrobes, an upside-down kitchen, and even an upturned bathroom, though it's not known if anybody has tried to have a bath in it or go to the toilets. Normally, a house like this would take 3 weeks to build. This one took over 4 months because workers kept getting confused by the strange angles of the walls. Many tourists visiting the house complain of feeling sick and dizzy after just a few minutes inside. We now cross over to our reporter Meg, who is inside the house. How are you feeling there?
Thanks, Bubbles. I'm here with the owner of the house, Jack, and I'm feeling great. How are you feeling, Jack?
Exquisite, thanks.
So, what made you decide to build this upside-down house?
Because I'm horrible with directions and all I need to do is just look for the house that's upside down, and it's quite a good tourist attraction.
Interesting. Have there been any hurtful comments about the house?
Yes, a lot.
What are some of these comments?
I can't really say, but they aren't too happy that their $1 million houses aren't being noticed.
Are there any challenges of living in an upside-down house?
Yes, because it's very awkward with everything on a completely different direction.
Do you ever hurt yourself?
Yeah, just recently I've had sprained ankles and bruises and stuff.
Ouch. Would you build more houses if given the opportunity?
I don't see why not, it looks great.
Would you make them like your own, or would you make them different?
Probably slightly different. I'm looking at making one on a sideways angle.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Meg for Brunch News. Back to you, Cheryl, in the studio.
Thanks, Meg. Even watching that makes me feel like vomiting. And now for a story that is truly out of sight. Look out, Harry Potter. The world of science is catching up to the world of magic. Scientists in Europe have created a 3D invisibility cloak, which can hide objects by bending light waves. It has been found that light can be controlled using special tiny crystals that make objects disappear. So far, scientists have made small objects, such as coins, disappear, but hope that it won't be long before they are hiding cars, planes, and even people. People have always dreamed of making themselves invisible, one top scientist says. The possibilities are endless and we are very excited. However, since inventing the invisibility cloak, the scientists have been having trouble finding it. As soon as we put it down somewhere, it just disappears, one of the inventors of the cloak said. It appears that they are having trouble finding other things too, like their lunch, which they think may be underneath the cloak. What will this invention actually be used for? Hoping to see through the reasons behind the invisibility cloak, here is our on-the-spot reporter, Grandma Pearl, with more on this story.
Hello, I'm Grandma Pearl, and with me today is the 2 scientists behind the invisibility cloak, Jake and Onda. Hi guys, thanks for joining us today. What made you want to invent the invisibility cloak?
Well, if I had an invisibility cloak, I'd ring up Graham Henry, suss out a game, and I'd put it on, sneak past Jose Gear, and escape it past Israel Dick.
Oh yes. Can you show me how the invisibility cloak works?
Sure.
Oh yes, just wonderful, Sonny. What do you hope the cloak will be used for?
Sneaky situations.
Oh yes. What is the most funniest situation you have ever been in with the cloak so far?
Well, we were testing out the cloak for Halloween, and then I knocked on this guy's door, and he opened it, and all he saw was a floating head, and he got out his baseball bat. Sticky situation.
Oh, that doesn't seem too good, does it? Well, that makes things very clear, doesn't it? Thanks for joining us, boys. Back to you in the studio, Bubbles.
Thanks, Grandma Pearl. And now, how's this for an interesting yarn? A new wave of graffiti crime is covering the country, thanks to an underground gang known as the Midnight Knitters. These wall-waving criminals are covering tree branches and lampposts with small jerseys and scarves under the cover of darkness. Police say the knitted activities of the gang are illegal because their woolly crimes are being done on public property without permission. The popularity of woolen graffiti is growing, and more public objects are being wrapped up every night. But the problem is growing. Police say and warn that if the Midnight Knitters aren't caught soon, every tree, lamppost and traffic light in the country will be warmly dressed against the cold. The problem is spinning out of control. They're a close-knit group of dyed-in-the-wool criminals. We are stitching together a case, but it's not seamless. There is no real pattern to the crimes, a police spokesman said today. So far, the criminal knitters have escaped arrest and continue to pull the wool over the eyes of both the public and the police. We go now to a secret location with our investigative reporter Renee, who has an exclusive interview with one of the Midnight Knitters.
Thanks, Bubbles. I'm Renee, and joining me in this top secret location is a member of the Midnight Knitters gang. Hello, HT, and thanks for joining us.
It's all right.
What led you into the dark world of knitting graffiti?
Well, one day I saw my grandma knitting. Thought, why not start a gang?
Do you see yourself as a criminal?
No, I don't think I am a criminal.
Why is that?
Well, it's only art and special things. Old ladies knit all the time. Will they go to jail?
Apart from trees, lampposts and traffic lights, what else would you like to put your graffiti on?
Cars.
Okay. Who's in your gang?
Me, my grandma and my auntie.
Small gang. Thanks for your time, HT. Now we go over to Sharon and Karen with the weather update.
Thank you, Renee, and good evening, New Zealand. Let's have a look at tomorrow's weather.
Starting in the far north in Kaitaia, look out for some pretty flash flooding and raindrops as big as your head. If you're going outside, wear a hat. Moving down to Auckland, there'll be a mix of fair conditions and unfair conditions, but those are the conditions and you'll just have to accept them. There will be no weather at all for the Bay of Plenty. It's taking a short holiday but is expected to be back for the weekend. In Napier and Hastings, the weather will sometimes be changeable and sometimes not. We have really no idea what will happen there.
In Taranaki, a mild depression brings with it a very dull day, with no highlights at all. It'll be overcast and gloomy all morning, but things should cheer up by the evening, so don't worry, everything will be fine. Wellington will have another capital day. There will be no wind at all, and the day conditions will be so pleasant they'll actually be extreme. In the top of the South Island, Kaikoura can expect to have a good day, meeting friends for lunch, going for a swim and reading the newspapers, but try to stay indoors as the weather will be just terrible. A real mix for Christchurch, which will have some unreasonable rainfall, some sensible wind, moderate thunderstorms and some very angry snow.
In the lower south, Dunedin will be frosty and cold, unfriendly until late morning, when the sun will pop over for a visit. Everybody likes the sun.
That's all from us. Remember, if it's raining outside, that's the weather for you. Good night, New Zealand. Now, it's back to the news desk with Bubbles McCoy and Cheryl Scarf.
Thanks, Karen and Sharon. Well, that's all we have time for. We hope you've enjoyed today's broadcast.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Until then,
I'm Bubbles McCoy.
and I'm Cheryl Scarf for Brunch News.
Goodbye, e noho rā. So that was fun.